Welcome, everybody. My name is William Trout, and I'll be your host on this new show called The Orchard Report. This is going to be a weekly show talking about the Buffalo Bills and everything around them, surrounding them, as far as stats, game analysis, injuries, and everything in between. We're going to talk, draft. We're going to talk basically everything. And just a little bit about me. I've been a Buffalo Bills fan since I could basically walk. I grew up in Alabama, but my dad and my uncle were avid Buffalo Bills fans growing up as they grew up in Rochester. So I've always been going to, a game here and there. I've always just been rooting for them, and I just wanted to dip my toe in this space and see what could happen. So I'm just so glad you're all here to talk and just consume anything Buffalo Bills. So we're very grateful to have y'all, and as always, go Bills. Welcome back again. Yes, my name is William Trout, and I'll be your host on this show called The Orchard Report. And the purpose is just, like I said, to talk everything Buffalo Bills. So as you know, the most recent happening is the game versus the Philadelphia Eagles this past Sunday. Buffalo Bills going and losing to the Eagles 13-12 in a kind of ugly grudge match, defensive matchup type of game, where we feel like we probably should have won. Josh Allen should have made that throw at the end on that 2-point conversion, but sadly, we couldn't get it done. The defense, I thought, played remarkably well, holding Jalen Hurts without a completion in that second half, which I just think, it bodes well going into the playoffs, where we're going to have, similar type of maybe low-scoring games where you have to kind of grind it out. And I do believe in the future, as we all trust, that Josh Allen would make a throw like that. We did just recently cut Badgley after just two awful outings. But as you might have seen, Matt Prater was a full practice participant this week leading up into this Week 18 clash against the Jets, the last game in Highmark Stadium. So it'll be nice to get, Prater back in the swing of things so he can kind of ramp up going into the playoffs. As we know, we want a reliable kicker, someone who can really, when it comes down to it, when we need that point to potentially win a game, we can trust them to make that kick. So, definitely excited and happy about that. Now we turn our attention to the Jets. This last game in Highmark, a lot of emotions are going to be flowing. I know that starters probably won't play that much, because at this point we're just kind of playing for seeding. We've already locked up the playoffs, and we probably want to kind of give ourselves like a pseudo bye, if you will, going into the playoff slate. So I'd imagine we will see some starters. I imagine Josh will come out and take one snap to keep his starting streak. But other than that, it's going to be Mitch Trubisky in the squad going up against the Jets, seeing if they can, take care of business, as we all would expect they will, and then hopefully put us in a position to maybe get a better seed, maybe even the 5 seed if the Texans or the Chargers were to lose. So definitely kind of a bittersweet game, the last game in the stadium, all the great memories, but also you want to get that win, potentially secure that seeding as well on top of it. So I'm very excited to get into that and to watch that game this weekend. What are we kind of looking for as far as injuries? As we saw this, Josh Allen is as a DNP this week, because I think they're just at this point trying to manage that injury and making sure that going into the playoffs he's as healthy as can be. And obviously at this point there's no reason for him to play. Terrell Bernard was a DNP with a calf, so not really sure what the status is of him. He's kind of been in and out of the lineup, and at this point with Shaq Thompson playing as well as he is as a kind of fill-in role, it'd be hard for me to want to push TB back out there, especially when he's not been playing the best. Joey, we did have a DNP with a hamstring at this point, I feel like that's also another type of injury management type of thing, where they're just making sure that he can be healthy going to the playoffs. Reggie with a illness, I don't think that's going to be anything obviously long term, just being an illness. With Daquan, we did have the calf, where I think McD said he did have a bit of a setback after that injury in the Falcons warm-ups, is where he popped that calf. He had made a comeback, but I think he's had a little bit of a setback, so that's definitely something to monitor. With Dalton Kincaid, obviously, the concern is just, consistently kind of being injured. Not something you really want to see from somebody we rely on so heavily on the offensive side of the ball. So, and with this past week, us elevating Latu, I think it doesn't necessarily bode well for his status. But we also have Dawson Knox as well, battling a knee injury. So both the tight ends kind of banged up. We'll have to see, if they can go. But honestly, this might be a game where you want to err on the side of caution. And then we have Cam Lewis, who's also limited. And, we've already kind of got a banged up secondary, so that's something we want to keep an eye on. Jordan Phillips should be moving back in practice in a limited capacity. And then we also have Jordan Poyer with that, wasn't ankle, but looks like it's a DNP now for a hamstring. So definitely a long list of injuries that, we want to manage, because we don't want these are a lot of high impact guys that we want to make sure we have coming back into that playoffs game. So those are the updates on injuries. So again, with this matchup with the Jets, my biggest key is just health, pure health. Like, make sure we're getting in that game, taking care of business, because as we all know we should. Even with Mitch Trubisky at the helm, I have no doubts that, the Jets they're half their guys are injured as well. So I just really don't have any concerns in the sense of, let's just take care of business and err on the side of caution, and let's get healthy. Because when it comes down to it, I'd rather lose this game and maintain some health than, win this game at the cost of, some key guys that we will need moving forward. So, I'm just excited to see how this season plays out. I know it's not been our best roster, as far as you look at it sometimes and you maybe not have the most confidence, but at the end of the day, we have Josh Allen and we're in the dance. And that's really all you can ask for, in my opinion. The defense has shown strides. I like what we've seen from Maxwell Hairston. He's shown, to be more than capable. He can play in the run game, but he also has good chops, obviously, in coverage. And with his speed, I think just adds another element. I think Deion Walker has played really well, especially recently, and he's given us a good presence in the interior. TJ Sanders has even given us a little bit of pass pro pop. So I think in general, we're starting to see some good growth and development out of our young guys. I think it's just something where you got to give them time. And then and in all the other areas, I think that offensively, Brandon Cooks, seeing this, this past game, finally going over 100 yards. Up to that point, he had more drops than catches, which I'm sure you've probably heard, but just a fun little stat there. So I think it's good to see these guys starting to contribute, that we've brought in. And even, Miko, I know we cut Miko Hardman, but we got him back on practice squad just as like an insurance type of play, which I don't hate, especially when, in the playoffs, you don't know who you might need or who could go down. It is unfortunate to see, Keon be almost a non-factor, but I think at this point, Gabe Davis right now, which, anybody who knows me knows I'm not the biggest Gabe Davis fan, but at this point, I just don't see how you can deny him off the field, because he has that rapport with Josh. He brings a presence and a physicality that we can appreciate, especially going into these, playoff games. And also at this point, I want somebody I can trust, and I hate to say it, but I I don't really see that in Keon right now, which I don't think is some bold take. So, so yeah, I'm happy in general with where we're at. Obviously, it hasn't been the greatest season ever, but we're there. You know, we're there, and we have a chance. And I really think that's all you can really ask for. So, you know, I'm just excited to be a Buffalo Bills fan. It's a fun time of year, and I'm happy that maybe you watched along on this first episode of the Orchard Report. So, thank you all for giving me a chance to jump into this content creation space. I'm really happy to see where it could take me and talk things Buffalo Bills, all things Buffalo Bills, and yeah. So, happy New Year to you all. Happy holiday season to everyone, and thanks for your time, and go Bills.